Hi, and welcome back to my channel, as well as to the Tanares RPG Kickstarter series, where I am unboxing all of the published items that I have received thus far from the Kickstarter. In this video, I'm going to cover the last few loose odds and ends that really relate to the board game, although some of these do relate to the RPG as well. However, these odds and ends include things like the card sleeves that we have here, with these packages here, as well as 4 additional game boards. There's a total of 4 here under this pile here. This actually equals a total of 8 new maps that you can now use for different kinds of scenarios. And I do believe that 2 of these were introduced as part of a stretch goal or bonus reward for the first Kickstarter campaign, and the other 2 were part of a stretch goal or reward associated with the second campaign. I don't know exactly which ones are which. I'm also going to open up this mystical pack in this video, as it contains a mixture of miniatures that were introduced in the first Kickstarter campaign itself, as well as for the second Kickstarter campaign. I've also included links to the Dragori Games website, as well as the various Kickstarters in the description below if you want to have a look at them. The first thing that I'm going to look at are going to be these tokens. These tokens are meant to be used in place of the cardboard tokens that we saw initially during the unboxing video of the Arena of the Campaign and the Tanares Adventures campaign expansion box. These tokens represent plastic, more durable versions of the tokens that come with the original game. And there's different representations of the different kinds of tokens that you can get within that, including some of the larger ones that you can see here that represent some of the larger identifying labels that we had in the previous video. All of these are included in the RPG campaign itself as something that you can purchase to replace those other tokens. These are much more durable as a result. There's also the other tokens that came with the Tanares Adventure campaign, as well as with the base campaign, and they're kind of intermixed here within each of the bins. So you're going to find that they are there and representative of all of the individual tokens. There aren't going to be as many, but they will replace the tokens that are in the boxes themselves. There's also different representations for different things. There's a couple of stick figures or equivalent stick figures, some doors, walls, and different kinds of statues. If you look at this, I'll take it out of the bag so it's a little bit clearer as to what it is. It's representative of that light that had the snake over it that we were looking at that was on top of a pedestal. So it's the same embossed art, if you will, on either side. And there's a couple of those in here as well, in different colors. There's not as many colors as there are with the other tokens, I don't think, but there's still quite a few of those. And then there's some additional rings that you can use for effects representation, if you will, for any of the characters that aren't in play. Next, I'm going to look at the sleeves. And these sleeves are really meant to be put into place on the cards that are received in the various boxes. And they're meant to protect it and make them last a little longer. My worry about that is going to be whether the boxes can handle the cards in the sleeves while they are in the boxes for storage. I honestly don't know. With these little ones, which are meant for some really small cards that you saw in the Arena Adventures one, I think it was, these are okay because there's quite a bit of expansion capability within that box. But when it comes to these ones, which represent, there's like 6 stacks of them here, which represent the original size cards or the normal size cards, I don't know whether this is going to significantly increase the size of those cards or not. I haven't actually tried them out yet. And there's different sizes. This is a much larger set of sleeves for those larger cards that I believe came about with the Adventures or the Arena campaign. These are the boss pads here. These are also boss pads, but they're a little larger. So there's quite a few sleeves for the boss pads. And then you've got the gold cards, I think is what they're called, that are larger than the normal size cards in comparison to the other cards. I don't really know if this is coming through on the camera, but the size is representative of that difference. And I believe a couple of kits had this as well, and I think some that I have yet to open have some of these as well. So I'm going to move these off the board just so that I can focus on the mystical pack next. The Mystical Pack contains a number of miniatures that were in stretch goals for both of the Kickstarters prior to the RPG campaign itself. These are figures who are important in the world of Tanares and associate themselves with various adventures, if you will, within the campaigns and scenarios that were part of the Arena campaign and the Adventures campaign. So I'm going to have a look at these here in a second. These miniatures include something like the Emperor the Supreme and his companion Imperial Tiger, as well as a key character from the Adventure scenario called Sarah the Seer. And hopefully that's coming through on the actual box there or camera. It does include the boss pads, if you will, as well as the cards and attack cards for them as well. So let's get this open and have a look. That way it'll be a little bit easier to show the boards. So, there we go. Move these out of the way for the time being. So here is the boss pad, and this is the character that I indicated in the first campaign that had the name change. It's Haroon the Doppelganger now, not Haroon the Shapeshifter. That's a nice little bit of diagram art there. Here are some cards, character cards, and some action cards or attack cards. And character cards give you a little bit of detail about the characters. The action cards give you the various actions that you can do, so that's kind of cool. And then we've got the figurines here with respect to each of these special characters. And I'll lift it up for the camera. Hopefully it'll come through a little bit clearer. This is Haroon the Doppelganger. I believe this is Sarah the Seer. This is the Emperor and his Tiger, and I can't recall who these two are right off the top of my head. But they're all meant to represent important characters within the Tanares ecosystem. So it's kind of cool to see that they've included this. This box was an add-on. I believe it was an extra reward. I can't recall exactly. But it was also something that you could actually select to get if you didn't achieve the award as part of your Kickstarter. So that's kind of cool. And it comes in a little box. Unfortunately, I don't think this will actually fit, or these figurines will actually fit into any of the other boxes. Actually, no, that's not true. We will see that with respect to the RPG box that we're going to get to a little bit later. We can put those figurines into it. Then it comes to the 4 different game boards that were additional rewards from the first 2 Kickstarters. Each of these boards comes double-sided. We have a flat side where you can use your own diorama objects, if you will. You can use the walls from the Legendary box to set up your own scenarios, or you can play with the scenarios that are already pre-configured for you. And it's the same thing for each of the boards. It's not the same scenario. You get different kinds of scenarios that you can set up on each of them. So this is one of them. Just set this aside. I'll open the next one, and this time I will try not to bump the camera. All right, so there we go. So once again, this is kind of like a wintry scenario here. It's blank. You can put your pieces wherever you want them to be, and then on the other side, there is a pre-built room, if you will, that contains a number of obstacles already in place, and then you're expected to set the characters up in a specific position on this particular board. So let me just fold this one up, and then we'll take a look at the other 2. This one here. We have this particular board here. We've got our walls, magical representations, some campfires and pits, and some decorations here as well. And then we have on the other side a little bit more of a restrictive location. There's a significant wall here that you have to go through, doors that you have to open up, and then there's some obstacles throughout this particular portion on this map. So this one's a lot less flexible, if you will, when it comes to what it will do for you. And then we finally have the last board. Just open this up. There we go. And this is an interior cavern. Hopefully it's coming through on the camera okay. Some spider webs and what looks like debris all over the ground, which is kind of cool. So you can put your obstacles wherever you want them to be there. And then on this side, we have kind of like an arena of sorts, if you will. 2 sides of the same arena, and then maybe this is a capture the post kind of thing. capture the flag, and some obstacles and some magical symbols and whatnot on this. I'm not sure what these grid markers actually mean yet. Again, I'll get into that more once I have played a couple of the games to try to figure out how that system works. So that is all of the items that are primarily part of the board games, and the next series of videos are going to now look at anything that is specific to the RPG. And this will be things that are new to the RPG itself. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and I hope you found this particular video useful and informative.